Well, hello, Swag. How's it going?
Hey, hey, doing good. How are you?
Very well, man. Very excited to come again with another hackathon recap call this time, all the way from Barcelona. It was a really nice weekend. A lot of stuff going on over there. Yeah, we're hacking every time more. We are also hacking next weekend. It's gonna be great. So go ahead, tell us a little bit of what happened over in Barcelona.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun, to be honest. So ETH Barcelona was, to be honest, a small event. It was not a big event, but we chose it for a few reasons. First of all, we want to support that area over there a bit more. But also we had a developer relations team offsite on the ground there. So it was actually the first time that I met some of my colleagues over at Scroll in real life, right, in person. So it was amazing, a really fun time. And Barcelona is a beautiful city with the beach right next to it. Right, it was great to be there in person, meeting all my colleagues, but also obviously all the hackers. Um, so let's talk about the event a bit. We had obviously bounties for the hackathon. I think in total there have been 46 projects hacking in total at the event. 20 of them deployed on Scroll and won our bounties. So that's almost half of all the projects they've built on Scroll, which is just amazing to see. Like that's really beyond our expectations. And that also means that, out of these 20 projects, there are 51 hackers behind those projects, right? So it's just great to see that many people building on Scroll and playing around with it. That's just amazing. So let's talk about our bounties a bit. So we have had our prize pool again. That's the bounty we always like to do to encourage people to just play around with it a bit, to play around with the ZKVM. And so we had $1,250 that have been split by all the 20 projects that have ended up deploying on Scroll. And then we also had a more specific bounty, which was 3 times $1,000 for the top 3 projects building on Scroll. And that's not limited to any category or niche or vertical. So it could have been DeFi, NFT, privacy, infrastructure, whatever floats your mind works basically. And we have 3 winners that we announced as well. And so if you want to know more about the details and all of that, I recommend you to check out our Twitter threads. Where we list out everything in detail. And you can also check out the projects with links to them and really dive deep into the GitHub repos and everything you may want to take a look at. So congratulations to everybody who won a bounty, but also to everyone who built on Scroll. I know hackathons are always exhausting. There's a lot of effort that goes into it. And yeah, congrats for doing it. I know it's not easy. And yeah, that being said, I think we can dive in headfirst into the first project one.
Alrighty, let's go ahead. So I think we have Jim from the Volt project waiting on the backstage. So let's bring him in.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey Jim, how's it
Hey,
going?
Jim.
Great, great. Nice to be here. Nice to be here. So it's a kind of a quick preparation for me because actually someone else from our team was going to be here, but unfortunately he didn't make it. So I will take on his role, and yeah, I will present some of the work that we've been working on during the hackathon and like the first concept of the product that we have created in just this 2 or 3 days. So yeah, really excited to be here and to be able to share some of the work that we have created and also make the relation to the long-term vision that we have with this platform. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you give us like a 30-second, sort of like very brief overview of what Bevolved is and what it's trying to do?
Yeah, sure. So for that, I will share my screen. I've prepared just some sheets to dive into it. So can you guys see the screen now? Is it sharing? Ah, yeah, there it
Yes,
is.
we can.
Awesome. So Bevolved is comes the name comes from Be Evolved, and that relates to specifically like in the tech industry, you never stop evolving. You always have to stay ahead. You have to keep on learning about new and exciting stuff. And the problem that we try to solve is the traditional educational system. They lack, specifically nowadays with the technology going so fast. And a lot of people are facing issues. So they follow a specific study And when they're done with the study, they basically already are behind. So for example, I spoke with some people studying AI now, and basically the tools that nowadays are getting used by so many companies, for example, LangChain and stuff like that, their teachers don't even know that they exist yet. So we see a huge gap over there. And at the same time, it's also really hard to get certified online besides like educational, traditional educational systems, because there's not a way to prove that you have a specific type of knowledge. So that's really the issue we're trying to fix with our platform. So it's a decentralized learning platform where you can follow courses online and also do peer-to-peer education. So it's basically also learning by helping other people. And when you finish an exam on the platform, you can do this certification on chain, so that you can basically have proof of the knowledge that you have as a person. So that's the introduction. Let's dive into the why. I already mentioned in the beginning, like the traditional education system struggles. At the same time, one of the other issues that we're trying to solve is that it's not personalized enough. So when you follow a traditional study, it's like you get handled as like a one size fits all. But in reality, this almost never works. Like there are a lot of people who just want to follow a specific part of a study, but they have to go to like all the classes to get certified for a specific role. So it's too generalized. So if this person decides to follow online courses, they can also have struggles to prove that they have a specific type of knowledge, specifically when it comes to coding, because it's like really abstract to be able to present like the knowledge that you have. Like for example, if you're in design or any other work, you can basically show a portfolio, but for like a Web3 or a backend engineer, it's really hard to being able to showcase the work that they've done, since it's all code. So what did we build in this 2 days? So we created a minimum viable product of a decentralized educational tech platform, and we are trying to cultivate a culture of peer-to-peer learning. And the incentives to get people on the platform is also to create a tokenized system where people can get tokens for doing peer-to-peer reviews and also helping other people to get further in their growth path. So one of the things that we want to focus on is AI-driven growth paths. And this is, from this point, that's mostly a concept. We did a lot of research and also some testing on how to actually implement this, and we have some ideas for it. But during the hackathon, our main focus was on building out the on-chain verification, which is actually fully working. So I will, in the next couple of slides, give some examples of this AI-driven growth paths. So I will come back to that within a couple of minutes. And yeah, of course, all of this is decentralized and stored on chain. So how does it work? Well, it works by offering education based on motivation, sponsored by Scouts. What do we mean with that? We want to make education accessible also to people who might not have the money to follow a traditional study, but at the same time, maybe they don't know the people, or they don't have the network to come in somewhere. So to get access to the content and be involved is by doing a test, which basically shows how motivated you are, and if you're really the kind of person that that is that future talent that is needed in today's tech world, then you can still get access to the platform without like having to pay a lot of money. So the custom learning paths, that is something that how we want to implement this is basically in the onboarding. People do it's like a short test where you get some questions and answer based on like see, this is nowadays you have a lot of these chatbots integrated with LLM AI. So this chatbot is basically asking you some questions. So for example, where do you want to be in 5 years from now? What kind of person are you? Are you more like a visual learner or theoretical learner? All this data is getting integrated together to basically build your digital identity and create a custom growth path that aligns well with the person who you want to be. Besides that, we also want to use AI to basically interact with the content in the courses in a way where we use like the natural language processing to basically ask questions about the content and get context from the model in a way that you can basically learn the best possible way that fits you as a person. So I also mentioned that we want to implement peer-to-peer reviews. So that's basically helping other students on the platform to review them and help them, because one of the best ways to learn is also being able to explain how to do something to someone else who doesn't understand it yet. And this is also a very good way to really learn a practical side and not just a theoretical side. Being able to explain how something works makes you a way better problem solver than just doing the work itself. And of course, as mentioned again, this is verified on chain when you bring in a course. So one of the biggest challenges from this platform is basically the content generation and this custom learning paths. There's a lot of work needed to create good content, good courses and exams. So the main business model that we would like to try out for this platform is partnering up with companies. So those companies can basically bring in practical case studies and use cases they are working on, and students can follow this course. This is something that allows those companies to scout talent. So people can work during their course on real world problems, experience how it is to solve these issues using code and technology. And whenever there's like a great fit, so if a student fixes a problem in a really good way, and this company that brought in this case is basically generating a lot of I don't want to call it leads, like people who it's really are the talent that they are looking for as a company. And then I have a quick demo of the things that we've built. It's a 1-minute video, which is sharing some of the screens that we've been working on during this 2-3 days. So basically, when someone signs up, it's in the integration with a MetaMask account to get their wallet address. And then the next screen will be a mockup. So this is not something really worked, but this is like the part where the AI integration is asking some questions to set up your profile. Based on that profile, you get this custom learning path. So for example, in this demo, someone is explaining that they want to be a Solidity developer working in a Web3 niche. And a custom learning path is being generated where it starts with programming in C. So that means they can learn about the fundamentals. And this custom growth path is like, it's flexible, it's dynamic. So based on how the user is like experiencing the custom the path and the feedback that is given, is giving access to follow their own growth path to knowledge. So the user opens the screen, see some information about this course, and basically can start an exam where they will do a transaction. The questions from this exam, they have to share the GitHub repository to those answers. And we have built a backend in C with a Python Flask backend that is basically checking the answers from the GitHub repo and comparing if the user has put in the right answer. And then this is like on the review side, where someone basically gets a submission that a student that he has to review has done the exam. They can review it, and then whenever they like verify that this is proven, then this gets stored on chain, and then when the student again opens the results, they see like, okay, congrats, you made it. So in this case, it would be 90% of the answers right, so that gives him a 9, and they finish their first course. And then you can also see like the growth path being updated to start with the next steps of becoming the programmer they want to be. So that was it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for walking us through that. I think that's great. I think there's some really interesting things here that I want to kind of like touch on. First of all, like it's you talked about it, but it's really true. Like fields like crypto and AI, like these fields move so quickly. It's really hard to sort of like get educational content for that. And if you can get that in a personalized, customized way, I think that's really powerful and strong. Um, so it's kind of funny that you utilize AI to kind of teach you how to learn AI. Like there's some funny irony in there. But
Yep.
yeah, I really like that. And I think you mentioned your biggest challenge is to sort of like get the content, the educational content for that. Is that true?
Maybe not like the biggest, but definitely one of the big challenges. Like generating a lot of content is just really hard. But at the same time, I'm really sure that using the AI of nowadays, it can really assist people. But one of the issues will also be like, what is the word for it? So, like, what do you accept and what don't you accept? And I think one of the core strategies for this platform, and also to make it like a real business model, is being able to work together with those companies who can bring in. So, for example, we heard like there's a huge amount of Solidity developers needed. If they can bring in a custom learning path where they can prepare the talent to not even only learn Solidity, but also work during their learning already on how they can really apply this to the problem that the company is facing, bringing in this case, that can be like a huge beneficial part on both the people learning, but at the same time for the companies looking for this talent.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, at Scroll, there's also a huge challenge of, educating people about, what is a rollup? What is a zero knowledge rollup? What is a ZKVM? What is scalability, right? What are all these terms? What is cryptography? What are snark proofs, right? There's a lot to be taught. And I think that for that reason, we've been really liking Evolved because it offers a sort of like more dynamic, more flexible way of like really zeroing in on the kind of concepts and things you want to learn. And I think that's just really fascinating. And also, just from my personal experience, just a quick small anecdote from my time in the educational system. I think many people might relate to this, but it didn't feel good to be forced to learn stuff that you never really use again or make use of. And at the same time, you weren't offered the choice to really focus in on something that you've been really passionate about, right? So if we can adapt this to make it more dynamic, I think that's something that's really cool. And using AI to kind of like support in that, support in like making that journey customized to your tastes and to your like educational journey. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it looks really fun. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much.
I have a quick question,
Awesome.
guys. Outside of technical content, is there any platform right now doing content or learning content for uh, topics like DeFi, like the non-aspects of Web3? Um, I feel like that's like a very undermined area where I think more people need to learn more about. Do you think this is something that could fit in into into this project?
I think for sure, like the really the niche of this platform, I think as long as it's related to code, I think it's possible because this kind of platform will not work with a lot of other skill sets. For example, the one of the main reasons why this works so well for code, what we assume, is that the way to learn about technology and coding is by doing. It's just applying and starting and doing and writing code and trying to really get an issue in front of you, do the problem solving part, and just code. When a lot of different industries or working experiences, you really need a teacher. You really need someone explaining the whole concept. But with code, it's like really practical, and you learn just by doing. And that's why I think everything related to coding and technology is definitely a fit for this platform.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jim, for your participation today. It was great. We really appreciate you hacking on Scroll. I know it was, I believe it's your first Web3 hackathon, right? So I hope you feel
Yeah,
motivated,
that's
you
right.
had fun, and you keep hacking.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. It was a really good time, and yeah, I'm really happy to be able to hear and present our concept. And yeah, good luck with the rest. We'll definitely keep in touch on the future of maybe working together on this. So I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, Swag, ready for the next one?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you, gentlemen. That was really interesting.
Who do we have up? Tell us a little bit about them.
Oh yeah, I think next up we have a project called Pit Stop Protocol, and there's a lot going on with this project. Just to take it away already. So yeah, I'm very excited to hear their presentation. I think there's a lot to talk about there.
Cool. All right, bringing in Pit Stop in 3, 2, 1.
Hello,
Welcome
hello.
in. Welcome in, Pit Stop.
Hi guys, how we doing?
Hi,
Very well,
guys.
very well.
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing
Good,
fantastic.
thanks.
Friday afternoon.
Exactly. That's the mood right now.
Thank God it's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, cool.
It's
So
pretty
yeah,
early
without
for me, so I've got a lot of my day left.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'd say without further ado, can you guys give us like a 30-second quick pitch, and then I would love to hear about the motivation after that for building Pit Stop.
Sure. Yeah, we'll start off by just talking about it a little bit, and then we'll jump into some slides and sort of dive through it in a bit more
Yeah, that's
detail.
perfect.
But Pit Stop Protocol really was born out of an idea to streamline and abstract some of the common complexities that arise when developers create games in the Web3 space. But the solution itself is not really tied to just gaming, but we wanted to give an interface to help sort of understand the more complex ideas that are happening behind the scenes. So we've chosen a fantasy Formula One game to basically streamline some of the elements that we think can be incorporated into many other games or applications or whatever it is within the space, sort of holistically and as sort of as a way to make the complex simple as such. So it does definitely need an example to sort of streamline some of these ideas because it can be quite complex, and that's why I'm hoping to dive into the demo as well and give you guys a bit of a walkthrough.
Right. Awesome. That's pretty interesting. So to summarize, basically, it's a way to make it easier to sort of like build games and abstract away some of the complexity attached to it.
Exactly, especially when it comes to things like digital assets that can be like representing ownership of items in those games or characters, and also when it comes to data off-chain that's required for certain games, right? Games might need to consume data from everything about races or basketball or sports or anything off-chain. So we wanted to streamline and abstract some of that also.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was referring to with like there's a lot going on in this project, right? You do a bunch of different things to abstract some stuff away. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, awesome. I think we're ready to dive deeper into what you guys have been building.
Cool. I'll share my screen and we'll talk through some of it.
Awesome.
Okay. Should be able to see this, I think. Yes. Still has the date from the hackathon on it. Nice. Okay. So what problem are we trying to solve here? As I just mentioned, there's a lot of common problems that arise when it comes to certain elements here around user-owned assets, things that can be traded, right? These are great elements of Web3 gaming, right? Having verifiable data, verifiable leaderboards, all these bits and pieces. We wanted to make a way to be able to sort of streamline some of these components. So we did that through our Pit Stop Protocol, which is a game we made to streamline and sort of showcase these bits and pieces. And a big part of that comes down to being able to abstract away the complexity of something like an ERC 721. So in our solution, you can mint an ERC 721 that represents your fantasy sports team. In this case, it's Formula One. So you can have, for example, a combination of drivers and cars, or teams, if you will, and those can be mixed and matched and swapped in real time on the same canvas, if you will. That 721 acts as a canvas that you can sort of paint on a driver, and if you sell that driver, another driver can replace them, right? There's no need for complex minting or burning, or any of the things that need to be abstracted away from Web3 gaming to have a good experience, right? Like we don't really, if we start bringing on Web2 gamers or people that are developing, we don't want to have, especially things like burning just to create a new asset, right? It has to feel like streamlined and abstracted. So what I'll do is I'll jump into just an example of how this works. We've just deployed this on Vercel as a way to test this. So imagine you're jumping into a new season of Fantasy F1 with your friends. The race is about to start for the season. You can then go and get some tokens for the season to buy your initial drivers and your team. So you would just simply mint some tokens. This is all on the Scroll testnet, of course. And what we're doing here is just minting some tokens that we can use to purchase our initial drivers, right? Now, of course, this could be financially incentivized, where you could have essentially a game set up where maybe it costs a certain amount to buy in, or maybe it doesn't, right? Again, we want to remove this concept of something having to be financially backed, because it gives a good user experience for people coming onto the Web3 space to play games or to have that streamlined and abstracted. So again, it's just that idea. And so basically what we're doing here is we're able to select drivers and to create essentially a combination of drivers and teams that we might be interested in. So for example, I can go down the bottom here and I can select, I like this car. And what we're actually able to see here is the token cost. It's a little bit small, but we can see the token cost of all of these drivers. Now, that data that represents how much these drivers cost is purely based on their performance. And how much the car costs as well is based on the performance of that team or the car for the whole season. Now, this data has to come from off-chain, but this is, of course, a smart contract deployed on Scroll. We have an ERC20, we have an ERC721 that we're about to mint here in a second. So we have an Oracle that's in place that's basically taking data from the Formula One API, running that through what we call an adapter and transforming it and mutating it into the required data types that an Oracle would want to give back to its caller, such as a uint rather than sort of a complex JSON, for example. So what I'll do is I'll just approve the contract so it's able to spend my tokens, right? The game tokens that allow me to choose this these driver combination. And with the 30 tokens that I minted at the start here, I can afford this sort of entry-level driver combination. But as the season progresses, I might not be able to, I might be able to afford more. I can sell drivers. I can swap bits and pieces out, right? So that whole idea of the NFT being static and immutable has gone away from this to create a better user experience for the players in this case. So we're just minting right now. We're minting a 721 of these 3 assets. And so what's actually happening here, it's kind of like Lego blocks. If you think about Lego, you sort of connect these blocks together to build a finalized thing, right? A product, if you will. In this concept, we're doing the same thing with a product called Metafuse behind the scenes, which is a product that's built by our company, Somnio. The 3 of us here work for Somnio. It's our business. And basically what that allows you to do is to dynamically create digital assets on the fly, to edit them, to change metadata, to create really immersive digital experiences through your games or your content or your marketplace or whatever you have. So if I go back here just to the main screen, I can see here that I've actually just minted this completely unique dynamic NFT from this content, right? So this is got the 2 drivers that I selected with the team, with the color overlay, with the names, and everything's just sort of all come together. And this is a fully fledged 721 that could now be, on OpenSea or whatever, right? This is a final piece. And I can see that I have my balance here of the tokens that I have remaining. The other interesting thing here is, of course, we have weather data and information about the race that's taking place. Now, this is like real data that's coming from our Oracle contract that's pulled from the Formula One API. So we're able to look at the next race, to understand the weather at that location, right? We even have weather API data coming off-chain into an Oracle on-chain so that we can consume that and integrate that into our game as well, because, of course, those things can affect the performance of the drivers and the scores and all sorts of stuff. So we wanted to make it feel like all of that information is readily available. So that's a bit of a high-level view of the game itself. And of course, the race will take place. Then the adapter will go and ask the Formula One API for new data, and it will say like, okay, cool, this is the new data. Run that through the adapter and feed it into the Oracle contract. The interesting thing about this is, and I'll talk a little bit about scaling, is that we're using Formula One here as an example just to sort of like help paint a picture. But this is not limited to Formula One. Of course, this is just a generic solution that can be applied to data from sports or IoT devices or really anything, even news and politics or all sorts of things. But essentially, there is an idea where you have some feed off-chain, and this is usually some sort of feed or data source that might be considered centralized. It could be because things like Formula One data or football data or basketball data, those are deterministic and centralized. That data comes from one source. We trust that one source already. So on the right-hand side, you have those sort of adapters where the feeds that can be fed into sports-specific or vertical-specific adapters that allow you to mutate and transform that data before it being stored in sport-specific Oracle contracts that could be on different chains, right? So this decoupled sort of connected system here allows you to sort of take data from feeds through adapters, transform it into a schema that meets and suits that specific sport, and then have it stored in smart contracts for any consumer to consume that on top of. So this is really what we're building in the back end here that allows us to do that. We have the adapter with the Formula One feed, and then of course our Oracle contract on Scroll. Right, I will pause there. Is there any sort of points we want to discuss or dive into around this concept? I'd love to hear some thoughts and some discussion points from your side.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for walking us through that. It's really interesting.
No worries.
So I think what you're doing is actually like really nice, because like you mentioned, you abstract some of the complexities away, right? You've built out the infrastructure to make it easy to consume that off-chain data on chain, and like you mentioned, you don't have to necessarily consider, if you think of like a traditional Oracle like Chainlink, for example, right? You don't have to necessarily deal with all the complexities that come with that because you're just making use of one data source that's already centralized, right? We already trust it. There's no need to have like a full off-chain node network that computes the data and like makes sure it's valid, whatever, right? So I think that's really interesting because then you open up certain games that can be built that need this kind of data in an easy way. And also, I really like the kind of like mix and match NFTs that you do with ERC 721. Like it's like a canvas, and you can just kind of like stitch it together in any way you like, and then you can throw it on OpenSea to sell it. I can definitely see, like a fantasy game, fantasy esports game or something taking off with that. But it could also be, I don't know, like a new game, right? You can like use that for new assets as well. So. Yeah, it's just fun. It's kind of just like making the lives easier of developers.
Exactly.
That,
and
games.
It's a really good point you raise around opening the door for games to come in and use this. Like we work with gaming customers already to use Metafuse right now, and that's exactly what they say to us as well. Like, oh, this is a new unique avenue in which we can sort of have that continued storytelling that doesn't have to stop with immutability, right? Like it opens up so many doors for them to evolve their game over time. So yeah.
Yeah, I especially just like the NFT side of things that you can like stitch it together. I think I'm pretty sure there's been similar things to that popping up at some point, but I think I don't know if there's any game that has really taken off with this kind of concept. Maybe you know more about that. I would love to hear if there's anything you know.
Yeah, I think we will start to see this because, in a sense, it allows these games and these creators to build on the asset that you already own. You don't have to lose an asset to gain it in a new way. So, for example, certain games, in order to breed something or to evolve it, you need to burn two others, and you sort of just lose those forever, and they're gone, and you get some new asset that is meant to be the combined value of both of these things, right? So, it's sort of that sort of means your story sort of ends with that one that you might have had for a year, for example. So. I think there's I think there's not really many games building in this specific case right now with these dynamic NFTs, but this is something that we're actively talking with our customers with already to sort of bring that to life. And there's a lot of interest around that space. So I think we'll see it take off. And I mean, at the end of the day, it does allow you to have this continued storytelling, but we don't want to sort of detach completely from the idea of being able to offer immutable sort of static content, right, on something like IPFS. Of course, this is served through our CDN to make it very fast and flexible because we have access to those contents, that assets, those layers, if you will. But of course, with the platform, you can sort of just still say, send to IPFS and lock it away forever. So if the game does want to make certain aspects immutable or certain bits there forever as such, that's of course possible as well on the platform. So yeah, we think it's a really interesting use case, and we're hoping to talk to more people and sort of evolve that as we go.
Yeah, that's one aspect that I really loved as well, is that you give users the optionality of, okay, I want this to be immutable in IPFS, I want this to be decentralized, versus this can run on your CDN and be fast and convenient, right? I think I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like I think we're running out of time. We have like 1 minute left,
Sure.
I think. Would just love to know from you guys, how was your experience, building on Scroll, deploying on Scroll, developing? Yeah, would just love to hear some thoughts there.
Yeah, loved it. Super fast, super easy. I mean, because we're running an Oracle, like because we're inserting data into an Oracle contract somewhat rapidly, we didn't have any issues with like, non-spaced errors or anything like that. The TPS was fantastic, super easy to bridge across ETH from Gurley. So like everything just felt great as far as like getting something up and running. I think it's the perfect platform for something like this as well. Just super fast, super cheap. Yeah.
Awesome, amazing. That's great to hear.
Well said. Well said.
we get agreement from our teammates. That's great as well.
Yeah. And it was great meeting so many of the Scroll team. I didn't know you guys had an offsite. That was fantastic. Like everyone was there. I was like, wow, everyone from Scroll showed up. This is great.
Yeah, well, it wasn't everyone. It was just just the
Yeah.
Devrel team, but it is a big team with like 7
Yeah.
people. So, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
great to meet you guys. And
Yeah, awesome.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Likewise,
It's
loved
lovely
it.
to meet you.
awesome. Cool.
Everyone's
Thank you guys
great
so
in the
much.
Scroll team, especially the
Yeah.
community managers. They're amazing. Let me tell you.
Well, I'd
I
love to
love
meet you
guys.
guys again at some point. That'd be great.
Yeah. We'll see you at the next hackathon, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of fun.
All right, cool. Thank you guys so
Alrighty,
much.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
thank you.
Well, exciting. So gaming projects back to back. I think definitely it marks a clear picture that gaming is at the front of creativity for Web3 developers. Um, I'm excited. I love gaming. And fantasy gaming. Oh, don't get me started. So,
Yeah, it's pretty cool
Swag,
to see.
ready to find out a little bit more about the next project?
Absolutely. And with this project, we're going back to AI again. It's another AI project, and I think this is also pretty interesting because it also focuses on UX of using AI. So yeah, let's bring in the prompt hunt team.
Ready. All right, welcome aboard.
Hey everyone. Hello everyone. Again.
Hey
How's it
guys.
going, Mattia and Stefano? How are you guys doing?
Good, and you?
Very well, very well. Nice to have you guys here. Alrighty, take it away, Swag.
Yeah, great to have you guys. So let's do it in a very similar way. What is prompt hunt in like 30 seconds? Give us a quick pitch.
All right. So Prompt Hunt is basically a collaborative platform for sharing and exploring AI prompts for AI models like GPT and Stable Diffusion. And this is built on top of Scroll and IPFS to make the system completely open and use Web3 incentives to basically have a collaborative environment that aims to make the process of using these AI models easier for people so that everyone can use these tools at its full potential, because these tools, they made AI really accessible, but there's still some challenges that are required to use them at their max potential. So we want to make it more easy by having more collaboration around these tools, leveraging some blockchain benefits.
Awesome. That sounds great. So what was your motivation? Like, how did you come up with the idea to build this?
So I actually don't like at all to write in prompts. I love ChatGPT. I use it a lot, but sometimes it's hard to get the results that I really want. And I'm like there in the chat typing a lot, exploring different ways to ask the right questions. So I personally don't like to do this task, and I would love to basically just use prompts created by other people that are great, that have been tested, that have been experimented, that I can see what outputs they produce and see if they're similar to what I want to obtain. So this is kind of why I started to understand that maybe a sort of platform like this can be very helpful, and it can use Web3 to make it even more incentivized for people to do this, because right now there are like marketplaces where people sell these prompts, but I don't really like the idea of selling. I think the it's more about collaboration, but collaboration is more efficient when there are the proper incentives for people to collaborate, right? And Web3 is great for incentives, it's great for collaboration. So we thought that it was a great idea to basically mix these two words and bring them together in a platform that achieves these goals, basically.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, at Scroll, we are collaboration maxis as well. Collaboration is great. Let's foster it. And also, I can't help but, I find that origin story very funny. Like, I can totally picture you guys, like, trying to use ChatGPT and being frustrated because your prompts aren't working, or, like, you don't get the result you want. And so I think this type of stuff is also the best origin story, where you are personally frustrated by something, and then you try to build something to improve it, right? That's just great. So yeah, that's really cool. All right, I think we're ready to dive a bit deeper into it. Are you guys ready to dive into it?
Yes, let's go. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let's go. A few slides and then straight into a demo. Okay, so Prompt Hunt, as I said, is an open and collaborative repository of AI prompts. So basically, as I was telling, tools like GPT, Stable Diffusion, all these new fancy tools made AI really accessible and really, really easy to start to use. So you just write what you want in a chat, and you should be able to get the response. But however, the hardest challenge is actually to be able to make the right questions to these models, because it's not as straightforward as it seems. It's actually, it requires time, requires effort, requires a lot of experimentation. And we've seen even companies that are actually now hiring what are called now prompt engineers, this new job that is basically people that need to craft questions for GPT or Stable Diffusion. And sounds kind of crazy, but like it's actually a new role that is being that is born. So basically, we think that everyone should be able to use AI at its full potential, even without wanting to spend a lot of time on this, because most people don't actually want, like me. And we think that the solution is more collaboration. And that's why we built Prompt Hunt, which is a crowdsourced repository of prompts, and they built on Scroll and IPFS. And the idea is to have a platform where everyone can share the best prompts, the most effective prompts that they find for several AI models and for several tasks. And they get uploaded to the blockchain and IPFS to basically have it in this open system that anyone can use. So on the other side, people that are looking for prompts, they can explore this. They can look for prompts for the tasks that they want to achieve, the goals that they are looking to achieve, and use the prompts that other people created. And of course, as I was saying before, having right incentives to do these things is really important. So we created a donation system where anyone can just donate to the platform, and all this money goes to an open pool, to a shared pool, a common pool that gets distributed periodically to the best prompt creators. So the way it works is that it's a little bit similar like Product Hunt in this way. That's why it's also called Prompt Hunt, where you can upvote the prompts that you like, and every day you will see the top prompts. And at the end of the week, the creators that receive the most upvotes will get their share of the pool. So of course, the more upvotes that you got, the biggest the percentage that you will get from this common pool of donations. Yeah, so powered by Scroll, IPFS, we use Request Network for the donations to have basically an invoice for your donations that is compliant with regulation. And I guess we can go into the demo. So
Yes.
yeah, so well, this is our landing page, but already I said basically everything. So let's have a look at basically the feed. Here we can see a bunch of prompts that people uploaded to Prompt Hunt. This can be either for GPT or Stable Diffusion. So we have different AI models that can be tested out, and or even filtered by category. So for example, we can take a look at this one. Let's see. All right. So first, we can see how other people use the prompt. And I think this is very important because it's much easier to understand if this prompt is right for us when we see how other people used it and what they obtained. So for example, this is a business plan creator. We see that this guy used this for an SMS marketing platform. We see what actually produced. And we see, okay, this sounds like something that might be helpful for my use case. All right, I can go up here and try it with basically my own parameters, so my own product. In this case, maybe I have social media for, I don't know, for learners. I can run it, and this is basically use the GPT API under the hood and give me the result. And all of these examples, so the pair with for an input and an output, are also stored on IPFS. The idea is to store everything on IPFS so that basically anyone can also build on top of this. So we give you this platform to use the prompts, to rank the prompts with this upvote system that we designed, but you can always use this data for your own application with your own ranking algorithm or whatever you want, basically even outside of this platform. So it's not meant to be a silo, but meant to be something that like you can build on top of. Hopefully this will run. It's taking a while. Okay, and here we get a prompt. And now basically I've been asked to confirm this transaction to actually post it on chain to make it available for other people as well. Yep. So we can also, of course, create new prompts, either GPT or Stable Diffusion. And the idea is this is a place where you can experiment with your own prompts if you want to create them on top of using prompts that other people created. So, for example, I pre-written a prompt for creating a meal planner for a pet because I don't know what to give him, what to feed him. So let's say that I'm gonna create a meal planner for my cat. And the idea is here is that I'm gonna experiment. Of course, I'm gonna fail a little bit because, as we saw, prompting is something that requires time. So I'm gonna adjust it. I'm gonna, maybe add some stuff, remove some stuff. And at the end, when I'm happy with the result, I can click share. We'll do it soon once it's done. And this will basically share with everyone so that other people can leverage it too. And this basically is creating a track record of this prompt on chain so that people can send the donation and can upvote it. And I can receive like this revenue share at the end of the period. So yes, sounds like a great meal planner for my cat. Let's go and share it with everyone. So hopefully everyone's cats will have great meals. In the meanwhile, this take a while. This is another page where we can see the top prompt engineers, so basically the people that receive the most upvotes, and this is basically what determines the percentage of the shared pool of funds that you will get. And this is the page for donating, so where you just specify the amount that you want to donate, and in a couple clicks should be able to do. So yeah, this is our new prompt that has just been created. As we can see now, it has its own page. This is the example that we use so that people can already see how I used it, and they can of course try it with their own parameters. This is pretty much it. So happy to jump into some questions to discuss further.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for walking us through that. I think this is, again, a really cool project. There's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, right? Some of these things we've already discussed in person at the hackathon as well. But something I could totally see is an integration with Lens, for example, right? So you can have reputation for the best prompt engineers, and so you don't have to rely on like random upvotes, right? I think that can add value to this project. In terms of like donations, right? You can, because at the end of the day, what you're building is basically public good. So you can, if you keep building this out, you can apply for Gitcoin funding, right? You can try to take part in that, maybe match the donations that people have made, stuff like that. I think that's a very valid avenue to support this project. And just in general, I like that you can tag stuff, right? You can tag it according to what kind of prompt it is, what kind of area it's supposed to cover. Maybe there's also room to like add some kind of discussion, like comments or something where people can make suggestions. And also, like, I just also love that you can actually try out the prompt right on the website. You don't have to go to ChatGPT, type it in, copy and paste, blah, blah, blah. You just try it out right on the website, see the results immediately. Like, that's really good at UX. I really like that. That's amazing. I think, I honestly think that if you build this out, that this is going to see use. Like, I can see people struggling, especially like, I don't know, if you think about like, maybe people that aren't as technically knowledgeable, right? They might have issues using AI like ChatGPT, like they might not know how to best use it. It's actually very similar to using Google as well, right? If you Google for something, like that's also a skill you have to learn, right? There's some tricks to keep in mind there. So I think it's very similar to that. And so I can see this helping people use AI more efficiently for sure. I also like that this is like collaboration based. It's not based on, oh, here, let me sell my prompt to you, right? That's
Exactly.
yeah.
We really think that AI is so great. It can enable us to be more productive, more efficient, more creative tools. Can serve as like a source of inspiration, and so we really want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to leverage it in the way that it should be leveraged. So because like if you can't make the right questions to these models here, you're gonna get some result, but it's not gonna be as powerful as it could be. So we really believe that collaboration is what can make it easy for other people, like even non-tech, as you were saying, to basically use AI at the very max potential. And yes, like on what you said with Lens protocol, absolutely. So this is basically a social platform, and I really believe that social platforms are more powerful where not just a silo that lives on its own. So it's totally powerful to have be in an ecosystem of other applications like Lens, where you can, of course, see the profile of who's been creating this prompt, so his reputation, his social followers, so social reputation and followers. And you can also maybe embed prompts directly into a post and try them directly from something like Lenster and comments on prompts, so suggestions, stuff like that. So definitely a next step will be actually, yeah, to basically build it on top of an ecosystem like Lens that enables prompt hunt to go beyond this siloed platform and be more open as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's exciting to hear that you want to keep working on it, and yeah, that's really cool. Also, like a quick question: Did I see a dark mode button on the website?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Is it working?
We do have it. We do have it. I don't ship anything without dark mode, honestly.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's awesome. That's a 10 out of 10 hackathon project in my book. That's really cool.
It's
Thanks.
All
extra
right, cool.
points right there.
Yeah. Awesome. So how was your experience building on Scroll and developing on Scroll?
Yeah, it was also very smooth. So I had deployed some stuff on Scroll before, so I guess I had like an advantage maybe, but it was seriously pretty easy. So also I really love that the team is giving to hackathons the small deploy on Scroll guide where you literally need to copy paste a couple commands, couple lines of code, and it works out of the way. So that's basically the experience that I want from any chain, honestly, because the DX for deploying should be as easy as possible to basically onboard more developers to do it and make developers willing to do that. So for Scroll, this is definitely achieved. Also, one thing that sometimes is really a pain on some chains is to verify the contracts, and that was also pretty easy on Scroll. It worked straight away, so that's a big plus. Of course, it's a really efficient chain, so it's able to achieve a great UX that is fast, is performant. So yeah, like our experience deploying on Scroll was really good.
Awesome. That's amazing to hear. That's really great feedback. You know, we've made a conscious effort at Scroll to try and make it as easy as humanly possible, and it's great to hear that it's basically working as intended. So, thank you guys so much for telling
Before
us
we
that.
before we go, Swag, I have a question from the Discord. So, someone's meaning to ask if there's any bad actors. So, like someone uploads a incorrect prompt. Is there any pipeline for that?
Okay, yeah, well, right now, not really. Of course, it's not something that like we thought that much about for hackathon project, but yeah, like if this had to become like a real project, yeah, definitely there's something that should be done there. So upvotes is like the most basic thing that you can do for this. So maybe if you see a prompt that like it's old and there's no upvotes, you know that like you wouldn't trust it. So like having more like reputation around this with lens profiles can help too. But I mean, in the end, it's not that that can really harm you. It's just maybe like if it's bad, you just get a bad result. It's not like that is really making anything like super malicious to you. So I would think like maybe more reputation data, lens profiles to be connected with the prompt creator, stuff like that, or maybe comments, maybe downvotes too, so that if you have a bad experience, you can actually say, okay, this is not only not good, it is bad. So I think that like for this kind of project, like just adding more reputation data points will be okay. Yeah, that's how I think about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there was someone really excited asking about this on Discord. So thank you. Alrighty, so
Awesome.
I think Mattia and Stefano have done a great job in presenting. I'm pretty sure you really like this. I use AI a lot myself, so yeah, I'm probably gonna be using this if you guys keep moving forward. Be excited
That's
to have it.
yeah, we love
Alrighty,
it.
so Swag,
Yeah, we are. I think we're done. That's the last project we had. Thank you again, Mattia and Stefano, for presenting, and thank you also to Jim and also to the Pit Stop Protocol guys. It was great to have you. Also great to meet you all in person at ETH Barcelona. I hope you liked the event as much as we did and meeting everybody.
We
And
did.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for
Alrighty.
having us. Yeah, thank you. Cool.
Catch you guys later. It's
All
only
right.
you and me, Swag. Let's close this up. But before we go, we have a couple of nice things to share with our entire community. Swag, would you mind sharing with us a little bit of the Contribute to Scroll repository?
Absolutely. So if you've paid attention to our Twitter today, we launched an initiative for people to contribute to Scroll in an open source way. And so what you can do is basically you can go to the Contribute to Scroll GitHub repo and you can make pull requests for any sort of things you want to work on or integrations you would like to see, really anything that crosses your mind that could improve Scroll in some way or another. And we want to do this to enable open source contributions, right? We want anybody to be able to participate, to build out Scroll alongside us, and to make this a collaborative effort, right? We just talked about it. We are collaboration maxis at Scroll. We want to foster that sort of spirit. And so if you want to improve Scroll, if you want to make contributions, go ahead, check it out. It's on our Twitter. We have a blog post live as well. The GitHub repo is open and accessible. And yeah, if you do contribute, you also get a Git POAP as a reward. So, you can flex your contributions if you want to. So yeah, we launched that today.
Cool, cool. Alrighty, so we had a really engaging community over on Discord. So a special shout out to everyone who's watching on Discord, and to anybody who hasn't joined our Discord. That's the prime place to collaborate with everyone in the Scroll team and um, with other hackers and finding out about our events, initiatives, updates. Everything is consolidated on our Discord. Um, we are very close to our cap limit on our server, but we're working on upping that cap. And rest assured, it's gonna be uh, great to uh, pass that 500,000 mark. It'll be quite a milestone. But before we go, there's a lot of stuff going on next week. We're going to be very present during the Paris blockchain events during next week. We have about over more than 20 speaking slots. So we're going to be quite around. Please join us. We're going to be sharing today a public calendar where you can check out every single place we're going to be at, who's going to be talking, what we're going to be talking about. So it's going to be quite exciting to see you guys over there too. And for all those of you who are willing to hack during the ETH Paris hackathon, we'll probably see you in the ETH Paris hackathon recap call.
All right. Thank you so much, Juan.
Alrighty, everybody. So take care and catch you guys on the next edition. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.